Hello guys, it's your girl Ibrahim Blessing and welcome back to another episode of Learn Data Analytics with Blessing. In this video, we'll be looking at data modeling. What is data modeling? Data modeling is like you designing a blueprint for how you want your data to be stored or for how you want your data to be used. It involves identifying key entities, attributes, and the relationship between them. So let's say, for example, someone reaches out to you and says, okay, Stella, I want to start running a supermarket and I would like you to help me come up or create a model for my business. The first thing you want to ask the data analyst is, what are the entities of the business? Entities are like objects or system that makes up a business. Since he wants to start a supermarket, it means that he can't run the supermarket without having customers. He can't run his market without having products to sell. He can't run that without having salesperson to help him sell this product. And he will most likely have suppliers supplying these products to him, right? These are the entities of the business. These are what makes up that supermarket. The customers, the products will be selling, the suppliers that will be supplying the business, the transaction also is an entity. Then if that supermarket is going to be in different locations, location becomes an entity. That is what entity is. Then the next thing is attribute. Attribute are like characteristics of those entities. These are what describes the entities. So if you are saying for entity we have customer, then the attribute of the customer will be want to be the customer ID, the customer name, the customer phone number, the customer email, the customer address, and the likes about the customers. Then if it's around location ID, the state, the country, the postal code, and the likes. If it's around products, you want to talk about product ID, product name, product category, product subcategory, etc. And these are attributes of entities, attribute describing entities. They want to look at relationship between them. When you talk about relationship, you're talking about how these entities interact with one another. For example, a single customer can place multiple orders, which can be defined as a one-to-many relationship. So this takes us to what I term cardinality, which talks about the nature of relationship. Now we have different types of relationship. We have the one-to-one relationship, one-to-many, which is like the common type of relationship. We have the many-to-many relationship. Let's look at the one-to-one relationship. This is when we have a single instance of entity relating to another single instance of another entity. For example, would say each person have a single passport and each passport is assigned to one person. That is like a one-to-one relationship. Now we come to one-to-many relationship. In this case, you have a single instance that is relating to multiple instances of another entity. For example, a customer can place multiple orders, right? While a single order is placed by just one single customer. In this kind of relationship, we call it one-to-many because one customer can place numerous orders, while that one order is just being related to just one person. Then many-to-many, this is just when you have multiple instances of an entity relating to another multiple instances of another entity. For example, we have a student can take more than one course, can take 2 courses, can take 3 courses, while a single course can also be taken by multiple students. In this relationship, which is many-to-many, one student can take 5 courses and one course can be taken by 5 students. This is relationship. So before you create relationship between the entities, between the tables, there's something that links them together. This is where the primary keys and the foreign keys comes in, right? So in this video, you'll be understanding data modeling very, very well. Remember I told us when we were looking at the second rule of data modeling that you would understand better in this video for data modeling. Also, you learn what facts tables are and what dimension tables are. Fact tables are like tables that contains numerical data about your data, what you want to work on. Why dimension tables are tables that describes and talks more about your fact table. So just stay with me as we check this out together. We will be starting here for us to have a better understanding of what data modeling is all about.
before we move to where we stopped in our Power Pivot. Alright, starting with the staging orders data. Don't forget I said the first thing when it comes to data modeling is for you to first recognize what the entities are. Looking at this data here, number one entity here is the order. The order is, like the transaction made by the customers. It's a transaction made by the customers. Then the next entity is the customer. And so we have some details here about customer. Then the next entity after the orders customer is the product. We have entity for product. Then the next one is region. Although we don't have anything describing region, we can add something. So I want to add a new column that's going to serve as a region ID. So for me to do this, I know we have north, south, east. Do we have west? I'm not sure, but let's see. I want to add a conditional column to say that anywhere you see north, give it 1. Anywhere you see south, give it 2. Anywhere you see east, west, anywhere 3. And anywhere you see west, give it 4. So let's do that now. Go to my add column. Then what I want to add is a conditional column. I want to add a conditional column here. Very good. Okay, so what do I want to do? I'm going to name this. I'll name it region ID. Okay, so what is the column I want to work with? I want to work with the region column, and what is going to be my operator sign equal to. So what is the value? Now make sure what you're typing in is exactly what is in that column. Not, then what should be the output? Give it 1. I will add the new clause region equals to south, give it 2. Add clause east for the region now equals to the east. I'm going to give it 3. Then I'm going to otherwise, let's add more clause and say region 2 if it's equal to, let me just delete this. I can just work with the otherwise. Delete this and otherwise, which is going to be 4. If there's any other one, just give it 4. Okay, then hit okay. So I have a new column here for ID, region ID. Alright, so now we've identified all the attributes to be orders, customer, product. Then we have region, right? Because we have these businesses in different locations in the north, south, east, and the other one. The next thing is attribute, which describes the entity. They are like characteristics of the entity. So for the entity orders, we know we have order ID for the entity orders. For the entity customer, we have customer ID, we have customer name describing the entity customer. Then for the entity product, we have product ID and we have product name describing the entity product, and also category describing the entity product. Then we have for the region entity, we have the region name and we also have the region ID for it. So after you've identified the entities and the attribute, then we said the next thing is you try to get the relationship. So looking at this here, if we now can say one customer can place many orders as possible, right? And in every order you can have many products in every order. That kind of relationship can be said to be a one-to-many relationship, one customer to more than one orders, and in one order you can have more products in it. So that's for relationship. When we want to start connecting the tables together, you will understand better. Then we have the next thing, which is your primary keys and your foreign keys. So going back to that second rule of data normalization, that every column describing another column should not be in the same table. That was when we splitted these staging orders into dim for customers, dim for products, then the ordered fact table itself, and the dim calendar. I think the next table we're going to work with now is going to be the region, because we don't have a region dimension table. So I'm going to reference this to create a region. So let me just clear this. Then I would, in my home tab, I want to choose column, uncheck all, and check the region and region ID. Okay, so I'll hit OK. So don't forget, you shouldn't have, I can rearrange this, so I'll have my region ID in front. We don't want duplicate, so I'll remove duplicate. We don't want duplicate in our dimension table, so I'll remove the duplicate there, and I'll rename this from staging orders 2 to be region or dim region. Let me give it dim region. Let's give it this dim region. Okay, very good. What else do we want to do? So I need to add this to I need to add it to the other factor. Let's see if I can choose. Let me go back and see settings. So I'll come here and I'll add the region ID to it. So I just came here to click on this button and it brought out this, so I can select the region ID, because you need to have a foreign key. What are primary keys? Now let's start with primary keys. Primary keys are like unique identifiers that represent every instances or each instances of entities in our table. It means this ID represents one customer. This one represents one customer. Just the way we have students having different matric number that is unique to them in school. You can have 2 Ibrahim Blessings, but you have a unique matric number to one person. Okay, so then for foreign keys are like, they're like columns that links one table to another. So with foreign key, you can find foreign keys on your fact tables. Here, this is fact table, other fact table. You can see customer ID here, and you can see we also have customer ID in this dimension table for customers. The customer ID here in this dimension table for customers is called primary keys, while the one here in other fact table is called foreign key. With this customer ID here in the other table, you can link it or reference to the customer ID in the dimension table. That is that on foreign keys and on primary keys. Then the next thing now look at is normalization. That was where we just decided to split a large table into smaller tables. So from this table staging orders, we splitted it into dim for customers, dim for products, the fact table itself, the dimension table for calendar. Don't forget, I told us that this is not the best way you can create a dimension table for customers. I will show us how to do that in our next video. Then we have the dim for region. Very, very easy. Just all you have to do is understand it. Because so anytime you're seeing a data, first look at it and try to understand, okay, what are the entities of this data? What then are the attributes of this data? Okay, what is the relationship between these tables? Then you identify the foreign keys and the primary keys. Then you move down to normalizing the data. All right. So the next, let us go back to where we stopped in our Power Pivot. So we stopped here in Power Pivot. Here we are. All right. So I want to connect these tables together, the dimension tables to the fact table. So we have 2 types of model. We have the star schema, and we have the snowflake schema. By star schema, I mean, let me show you. So it means you are connecting for star schema, you're connecting your dimension table to the fact table in this manner, forming a star. But for snowflakes data model, you are connecting your dimension tables to your fact table this way, where you have sub dimension tables connected to dimension tables. You are seeing here you have, this is dimension table for products. We're also seeing a table connected to this dimension table for product named dimension product category. There's also another one connected to this dimension product category, which is dimension product subcategory. So you form a snowflake schema anytime you have sub dimension tables connected to dimension tables and also connecting to the fact table this way. So let's do the snowflake schema this way, this particular one. So let's go back to our Power Pivot. So we have the data here, we have it here, this, So now let's try to link all this together. So we have customer ID here, which is the primary key here, and you can also see it as a foreign key on the other factable. So we'll link it together. I'll drag it. All I have to do is just hold down my mouse and drag, so you can see one to many. This is showing that this is a one to many relationship. It means you have just a single instance of the customer connected to multiple instances of it here. So don't forget, the other factable contains the number of times, it records the number of times a customer visits the store to buy some product and how many products they buy. So if the customer comes 100 times, you will find the record here on the other factable. But this dimension table for customers only contains the details about the customers. That's why you're seeing just one to many. You can see this star implies many. So let's do for product ID here, drag to product ID here, and it forms the same relationship. So when you double click on this line, can you see it brings this edit relationship dialog box, telling you, it will show you the relationship, the columns connected to each other. And see product ID here on the other fact table connected to the product dimension table for products here, and you can see it's showing that this relationship is active. If I uncheck this box and hit OK, this line will turn into dotted lines, which shows that the relationship is not active, it is inactive. To make it active, you can click on the line, then right click to bring out these options, or you double click on it. So mark as active will make it active. If you want to edit relationship, right click again and you see edit relationship, you edit it to bring back this same box. If you don't want to edit relationship, you want to delete it, right click and you see delete. Very good. So let's do we have other date here and we have other date here. So I'm going to drag this. So let's see what happens when we do this place. So you can see the relationship cannot be created because each column contains duplicate values. Select at least one column that contains only unique values. So you can't create relationship with many to many instances, although in Power BI you might be able to do that after bringing out the warning information or warning signal for you that you shouldn't go ahead with creating a model with many to many relationship. It will still give you a go ahead to just create the model. But in Power Pivot here in Microsoft Excel, it does not allow it. It only allows one to many and one to one relationship. So if you remember, when I was creating this dimension table for calendar in our Power Query, I didn't remove the duplicate from the date table. So we'll go back to do that and also import the data for region. So I'll hit OK. So I'm just going to go back to that detail here. I think we have yes here. So go back to the calendar. You can see we have 7 columns, 50 rows. So I'll try to remove duplicate now. Right click and I'll hit remove duplicate. The moment I remove duplicate, you can see it has moved from 50 rows to 36 rows. So I would close and close and load it in. Then go back to my Power Pivot. Let's see, in Power Pivot I'll try to refresh. I'm going to refresh all now to refresh all the data. So it's refreshing, successful, and I'll close it. So let's try to create the relationship again. So I'll drag it into other date. So you can see we have one to many relationship. And the next time we're going to import the data for we import the data for region. We didn't import it, so I'm bringing it in now. So going through the same process all over again. Then now Excel file. Next, I'll browse where it is in my detail. I think detail modeling detail. Yeah, it's here. So I'll open it. Use first row as header. Then next, you have now the fact that the file is still open on my Microsoft Excel tab will make it open here, so I have to close it here. So I'll come here where I have it here. I'll Control S to save it, then close it so that I can import it into Power Pivot. If you have the data you want to import into Power Pivot open down already on Microsoft Excel, you might be finding it difficult to import it into Power Pivot. So I would so let's just hit next. Now you can so all I have to do now is just select the region, dim for region, the one I want, then I'll hit finish. I don't have to preview because I already know what kind of data it contains. So close. So you can see it here, the table here now, dim region. So just go to my diagram view. You have it here. So I have this here. Now going to create relationship. Now if you don't create relationship, there's no how you can have correct result, get correct result from your tables. If they're not linked, you can't get, if the customer the details here in the customer dimension table is not linked to the order fact table, I can't know the number of products that this customer here on the dimension table purchased, or I can't know the amount a customer here purchased. What do I mean? And let's do it with region. Because we've not linked the region now. We've not linked the region dimension table to the order fact table. So let's try to go back to our data view and let's create a pivot table. So I'm going to hit on create pivot table. So it will help us create a pivot table. Let's create it on the existing worksheet, since we just have a blank worksheet here. Okay, so now this is a pivot table. This is all the data. Now you can see we have all our data here, all our tables here. Anytime you see this drum, you can see this icon, this orange icon, it means this data has been added to data model. It's inside the power pivot. So let's say I want to work with the region and order fact table. Let's try, okay, let me say I want to see customer. Let's look at customer. This is calendar. Let's look at customer name, and let's say we want to see the sales made. So let's look at sales amount. Now can you see you're saying 22,950, 20,100, 21,200? This is because you're getting this correct result because those tables are linked. The customer dimension table is linked to the order fact table. Now let's look at the one for region. We've not linked our region to our order fact table, So let's see what happens if we use region. So I'm going to I'll drag out this customer name, and I'll come here to drag in, just check the region. You'll notice something. You're just seeing 66,250, 60,000. It's not giving us the separate values for each of the regions. This is because the table is not linked yet. So let's see what happens if we link our table. So I'm going to go back to my manage, then come here to diagram view. Now we're trying to link using the region ID, but you notice we don't have region ID here. Remember, we just added it into today's video. We just created a new table for region today. So for us to find it, just here, still in your Power Pivot, go to your design tab, then click on table properties. No, not for this. First, before you do that, you have to go back to your data view. Make sure that table you want to work with is selected, that is the order fact table. Then you go to your design tab, table properties, and let's scroll and see. So can you see the region? And let me make this, increase it a bit. Okay, we can't see it. Well, can you see region? I just hover around, you can see region ID. So it's not checked. You can see the box is not checked, but for the rest it's checked. So it means that the fact that it's not checked will not make it show on the Power Pivot interface. So I'll just check it now, and I'll hit save. Then can you see it now? We have the region ID here now on the order fact table. So it means you can hide a column you don't want to see on your Power Pivot interface at the back end in the design tab. So let's go back to the diagram view and try it. You can see we have the region ID now. So we drag, and let's see, the relationship has been created. This you can see. So let's go back now to our pivot table. Here in our pivot table, can you see now it has changed automatically from $66,250 to 21, 22, 22. Can you see now? Because we linked the table. It was not linked before. We were having 66,250 all through, but now that it's linked, you now have the correct values for every of the regions. This is one importance of linking your tables together in Power Pivot, or creating relationship between your tables. Okay, so let's just go back. Now this is forming a star schema. star schema type of data model. Star schema. Can you see all dimension tables connected to the fact table forming a star? For snowflakes, I said when you have dimension tables connected to dimension tables. So let's assume we also have a table now that is for category. So I'm going to go back and I'll go back to my file. Let me just come here, file, and I want to open this data modeling data again, the main data itself. Now we have a table here. Another table is a sub dimension table for product, subcategory for product. So I'm going to come to my product dimension table and I'll add I'm going to insert a new table. I'll come here and give it subcat ID and I'll just name it 1, 2, 3. Just give it this. So here now we have a new table for subcategory, product subcategory, and this category of the product. Let's go back to our Power Pivot. Then I'll try to import that data. Import the data from other sources. Going back, Excel file. Next, I'm going to browse it out, and it's this data modeling data. Data modeling data. This one. So open. Waiting for it to open. So while waiting for it to open, let's just go back and I'm going to save it, Ctrl S, and I'll close it up. So let's go back. We are here now. Check use first row as headers, then next. So what do I want? I want the subcategory table. Finish. I don't want to preview, I know what it looks like. So finish, then close. Okay. No, so can you see the subcategory here? Now, but here we have product, dim product. I'm going to refresh all, so that it refresh all the table for me. Refresh all, success, close. But still, you can't find this subcategory ID here in dim tables. So dim product table. So it means you have to go and bring it in. So I'm coming here. Make sure that table you want to work with is selected. The dim. Then go to your design tab. Then hit table properties, and you can see the subcategory ID column is not checked. So check it and save. I just saved it. Very good. Then let's go back to our home tab, diagram view. Then now all I have to do is just create a relationship between these tables together. So drag this, then connect it with this. So can you see one to many? One instance of this subcategory to many instances of the category here in the dimension period. So this is forming a snowflake schema where you have dimension tables connected to dimension tables connected to the fact table. I hope you understand this concept of what star schema is and what snowflake schema is all about. Very, very easy and simple, right? All right, so we continue from where we stop. In our next video, we'll be looking at M language or M code, whatever you call it. Do well to practice as much as you can. Like I said, it is your practicing that bets your perfection. You can't just stay there and expect miracle to happen. You have to just put in the work. All right, we'll meet in our next video. Do well to like, share to those that would like to gain this same knowledge that you're getting from the video. We'll meet. Bye.